go!
It's the LA Football Podcast.
Touchdown Ram! Recovered by the Chargers. Touchdown UCLA!
With USC great and NFL stud, Frostee Rucker.
The Trojans back in front!
And LAFB founder Ryan Dyrud on the Believe Podcast Network and LAFBnetwork.com. This is your destination for Los Angeles football.
Los Angeles, what's happening, whether it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever day you are listening, welcome to the LA Football Podcast. I am your co-host, Ryan Dyrud, joined, as always, by Mr. Frostee Rucker, the birthday boy. Happy birthday. What's up, my man?
Man, thanks, man. What up, LA? What up, Ryan? Thanks for the birthday shout. 37, man. 37.
37 young. Looking good. You still got some plays in you.
But I got a series left.
Series. That's
I
all
got
you need.
a serious series left.
Is it a 3-and-out series, or is it a long 10-play drive series, you think?
Oh, no. 3 and out. Maybe a goal line stand. Just, get bruised up. You know what I mean?
That.
But, yeah, just a goal line stand. Just get all this energy out.
Yeah, we had a couple this weekend goal line stands. So one against my Broncos last night, but I don't want to talk about that. Luckily,
this ain't the show for that.
That's right. This ain't the show. So great weekend for our LA teams. But before we get to it, did you do anything fun for the birthday?
I had some family come in town, which was great. It was just all love. Obviously with the times of what's going on, there's not too many things that you can do, and so rage. And this birthday, this 37, I crossed over from no more rage, just be engaged, right? So I had some family in town, got to get dinner. My nephew and son got to run around and have fun. So that's what meant a lot to me.
That's great. Well, good. Happy to hear that. Hopefully I'll get to see you soon and celebrate somewhat. Not rage, but, we can crack a couple beers. Because guess what? We do have a new beer sponsor. You asked for it last episode, and here we are. Golden Road Brewery, local to LA, been around since 2011, is partnering with LAFB Network and the LAFB Football Podcast for the entire season.
Got some beer?
Got some beer. Yeah, it's actually en route, so I'll be sending it to you when you're back in town.
Look at that. Now, cheers.
Yeah, that's right.
So are we going to do this on air?
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll be doing, so it's cool with this. I'm talking with him again tomorrow, but we'll be doing giveaways. So whether it's beer giveaways or just Golden Road merch. So for listeners out there, we want you to be engaged with us on the show, get some free beer, some free clothing out of it from Golden Road, which they'll be providing. So, and then we'll have to do some, actually tasting. You can call it tasting. I'll just call it drinking, but we'll do some drinking on the show.
That's awesome. Thanks, Golden Road. I'm sure I'll indulge and become a big fan.
There you go. There's one location-wise, which aren't fully all open right now because of COVID, but they got Atwater Village, downtown LA, Anaheim down by you, Frost, Huntington Beach. Yes, sir.
Wow, so they're going to compete with my Tustin Brew Co.
That's right. That's right. Nothing against Tustin Brew Co. though, but hey, you got to check them out now.
I got to check them out.
They're paying the bills a little bit. Yeah.
I'm all for it.
So Golden Road Brewery, super pumped. We'll be repping them all season long. But as I mentioned, this is the LA Football Podcast, your home for Trojans, Bruins, and specifically right now because of no college football, Rams and Chargers football. Our LA teams did go 2-0 this weekend. Can't wait to get into it with you. Make sure to subscribe to the show wherever you do listen. We are everywhere you listen, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, also video format on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Just search LAFB Network to find that. So, Frost, before we get into these games, lastly, I do need to mention our other sponsor for the show, betonline.ag. Football's back. Hockey's entering the Stanley Cup playoffs. NBA, there's a Game 7 on Tuesday with the Clippers and Nuggets. But then we'll be getting into the finals there, Eastern and Western conferences. So those have been good. So make sure to head to betonline.ag today and take full advantage of all those great sign-up bonuses. You can also look at all their prop bets they offer. A lot of fun. So again, that's betonline.ag and sign up today. Frost, now that you're retired, do you gamble at all? Get into the sports betting? Or
I never have, but never say never. I think when you're talking about little bets and stuff, so let me get this right. So you can bet on the coin toss, right? Yeah.
All those prop bets. Yeah.
Just all the prop bets.
That's what you'll
stick. I'm a prop bet type of guy. That's kind of where I would be.
Well, you called coin tosses when you were captain twice, and even told Derek Carr what to do. So you should win some money doing that.
Well, I am experienced, and you're correct on that statement. So yeah, I think that's what I will do.
There you go. So yeah, betonline.ag. Now you know where to go. Well, great. Well, Frost, So let's start with the Chargers game, since that was, I guess, not the morning game. It was actually evening for you, for those out in Cincy, and then it was the afternoon here in LA, but it was the first of the 2 games. Came out on top, snuck away with the victory, 16-13. But before we really get into the kind of the stats and stuff, which you will break down for us, but what did you just think of the overall gameplay? Obviously, no practices, but no like live contact, no preseason games. What were just your thoughts on how the game was played?
Well, Ryan, I don't think it was too complex of a game plan, so I can't really call it as it was so tragic. I went into week 1 across the league, not just our shows, but thinking there's going to be sloppy football, sloppy tackling, missed assignments, because there's lack of preseason games in those reps. But I'm not too frowned upon with the finished product. I think both coaches kept the game plans minimum to let these guys just go out and play.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed like an energized preseason game. Just getting back, no fans, no nothing like that. But the product wasn't bad. So I'm glad both our teams won.
Yeah. No, I was impressed, because I thought there was going to be sloppier play, a lot more maybe turnovers, a lot more penalties. I thought there's going to be a lot of missed tackles. And I thought overall things looked pretty good. Tackling looked pretty sure. There was some penalties, but nothing egregious or any more than, I guess, a usual week 1 game. And injuries, obviously, there were some. We'll get to one big one with the Chargers later here, but I didn't think it was as bad as I was expecting, I guess, or that I was like, it was better than I expected, which is good. I mean, obviously, we'll
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So do you think the refs got better this offseason?
The refs, or they're just letting things go. Maybe they're not being as ticky-tacky. I don't know. Maybe they're, because there was a few times, I think once in the Charger game and maybe once just in a few other games, where I saw some pretty blatant like false starts and there was just no flag. Like the tackle was like,
do that.
Yeah,
it's an offensive league.
That's true. Yeah, tackle off. He was off the line of scrimmage like a second early, and they're just like, "Oh, just let him play. Let him play ball."
Well, the refs didn't get the reps either. I don't think they are allowed to go to the complexes in the summer.
No, they're not. Yeah, that was one thing that kept being said, is this was a preseason game for the refs too. So hats off to them. I think they did all right.
Yeah, like you said, hats off to them. They didn't do anything to butcher games, and I didn't throw a shoe or a remote at the TV. So,
yeah,
good job, guys.
Yeah, good job. There you go. There was a few missed calls in that Rams game, which we'll get to later, but overall, I thought they did good. So, well, for us, let's get into some of the stats here for the Chargers. So, Charger fans out there, I'm sure everyone watched it, but we can give you a little more analytic side of it. So, Frost, if you want to let's start with your defense. You're a defensive guy. I thought the Chargers overall defensively played great, only giving up 13 points. Really, held Joe Burrow, who obviously is his first NFL start, but still an explosive guy, the number 1 overall pick for a reason. And thought they contained him fairly well, except for his 1 rushing touchdown, which if you watch the play, Nasir Adderley, I think just like over pursued on it. So he was able to cut back and have his rushing score. I thought they maintained or contained, I guess is a better word, Joe Mixon fairly well, causing a forced fumble as well, which we'll get to later. But overall, I thought the defense played pretty well.
I think the defense played good, Ryan. To be completely honest, they took away all 3 targets that the Cincinnati Bengals had. They had A.J. Green coming back from a disappointing season and injury. They had Joe Mixon, just got a contract, didn't do anything. They had Joe Burrow, the number 1 pick. Everyone had all these expectations, didn't know what offense they were going to run, how to defend them. Again, no tape from preseason. And despite his 1 run, he was efficient, but he didn't do anything to beat them. That 1 run could have, because of a low-scoring game. Mm-hmm. But other than that, defense did great.
Yeah, I loved the way the defense played, and really even Tyler Boyd, who's a guy that kind of broke onto the scene last year for the Bengals, and I don't think you heard his name hardly at all on Sunday because that secondary just played really lights out. Casey Hayward had a couple really big pass breakups, one in the end zone that resulted or would have been probably a touchdown. It was a really well-thrown ball, and he broke that up. Chris Harris Jr., you didn't hear his name a lot because he was just doing his job, shutting guys down, so he didn't really have to be on the score sheet.
Yeah, you have that blanket coverage, man, and that's what they paid for. They, to shut down whoever he was guarding, and he's a solid, savvy vet, and he did his job.
Yeah, that's why they paid him to come over from Denver. So, before you get into just kind of the stats of what the defense did, what do you think of? Obviously you're a former defensive lineman, and one guy that I thought we talked about preseason who needed to have a breakout year is Jerry Tillery, 2nd-year guy, 1st-round pick last year, 20th overall. I personally thought he played great. I don't know if you were able to watch enough to see his gameplay. He did get a sack in this game. But what do you think of Jerry Tillery and that jump from year 1 to now year 2?
So he had a disappointing last season, 1st-round pick, didn't really do much, couldn't really figure it out. I thought he was very active, got in the backfield, and got a sack. He played well, and that's exactly the strides that they wanted to see. I think the less reps that the big guy got, he didn't really have to go toe-to-toe for a full-length training camp and get tired. He was still fresh. So if they can keep him fresh like that, I think they'll get a lot of production out of him.
Yeah, and I think that was the key is the freshness because they had a good rotation with Damon Square and Justin Jones in the middle there. So it wasn't like he was having to play all 3 downs or, when drives were sustained longer coming in and out. They have a good rotation there on the defensive line. And then obviously Joey Bosa had a great game. Melvin Ingram had a great game. But we'll get into some key plays at the end of this segment. But Frost, go ahead and break down some of those stats, what this defense did.
Okay, so to finish the day, the defense was number 3 total in defense in the whole NFL, giving up 13 points and a total of 296 yards. That's a heck of a day out there for those guys, and congratulations for that. They're number 4 in passing defense, giving up 173. So, that's with a new Joe Burrow going against them with the A.J. Green. I think the team's defensive backs had a heck of a game. They could be up for a game ball from us. Then they're number 16 in rushing defense, giving up 122 yards on 28 attempts, completely shutting down Joe Mixon, which was, a person that I know was highlighted on that board all week, getting ready, prepared for this game. The key to this game for me, it was third down. I think they got off the field. They're 6 for 14 getting off the field. And, that's always going to be huge whenever you can get a team on third and long, even third and mid. It's always good to be able to get off the field and get the ball back to your team. So they did that. They controlled the ball, and they essentially came out with a victory.
Yeah. Is there – obviously you want to force offenses to have a 0% success rate on third down, but as a former player, is there kind of a number you guys target, or is it always like, hey, we want a 0%? Or if you're like, hey, if we get off the field 30 or 70% of the times opposite, that's like a good clip of a third down conversion rate?
Yeah, I would say that 70 to 80%. It's tough when you get in third and shorts and they can either run pass on you and get a QB sneak, something of that sort, a fullback dive, or, just an easy power or just a run. But again, it's a hard task, but, it says a lot about the character of your guys knowing how important third down is for field position and ball control.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said it's 6 for 14, so that's about I'm not a mathematician, but that's like a
42%.
40% success for the Bengals, so like a 58% for the Chargers getting off the field. So pretty good. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Okay. You should just claim that you're good at math. You just knew it right like that. Sociology major coming through.
Right.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I love the defense. That was obviously the staple of this team. We thought going into the season anyway, the offense was the one who's going to have question marks. So let's get to the offense now real quick. Tyrod Taylor, I thought looked okay. Here's the thing with Tyrod Taylor. He did what he's expected to do, which is not turn the ball over and be efficient with the football, which is what he did, finishing with a decent stat line and no touchdowns, but no interceptions. And that's really why they wanted him when you look at the other side. Now I want to get into Indianapolis, but Phillip Rivers, two interceptions again in their game. They end up losing to Jacksonville. That's a whole different story. But the reason why Tyrod Taylor was brought in to start for now was to just protect the football and effectively move the ball down the field when called upon, which is what they did. And they got enough to get it done. So what were your overall takeaways from Tyrod Taylor's game?
Well, I think he played, like you said, he played Tyrod ball. He didn't do anything to screw it up. They leaned heavy on the rushing attack, and they did well with that. So they left them with the balanced attack. And again, it was the first week out of the gates. You know what I mean? We can keep talking over and over about, the unavailability of preseason games and whatnot, but they didn't really have much time to hone in. There was no spring ball and whatnot, so they couldn't really open up the offense. And, I feel like the jump between these next couple of weeks are just going to be massive across the league, but especially on this team. I think once guys get really comfortable, they're getting these reps, people are going to have big games, and that's what I'm going for. So Tyrod did what he's supposed to do. Like I said, balanced attack. They ran the ball well, and they put themselves in position to win the game. And most NFL games come down to a score of 3 points or less. So whenever you're right there battling, it's right on cue. And it wasn't a bad outing. I'm expecting them to get better.
Yeah, I think that's the perfect way to put it. It was, little sloppy is not even the right word, but yeah, you could tell they were just implementing stuff slowly. And you got to remember too, Chargers fans, is This is the first year in 14 years with a new quarterback after having Phillip all those years. You got a brand new quarterback. I know Shane Steichen took over as coordinator last year after Wisenhunt was fired, but he was kind of the interim and then brought in this offseason, or retained, I guess, as the new offensive coordinator. So essentially you're implementing a new offense in an offseason with no live practices, with no preseason. So brand new offense, brand new quarterback, essentially brand new starting running back, because Eckler and Joshua Kelly now are both the main guys in the backfield. You know, a lot of new offensive linemen. They had a lot of different offensive linemen even in this game because of injuries. So just a lot of moving parts with very limited practices, and you still are able to put up 16 points, not turn the ball over at all. I think that comes away. Yes, I know a lot of fans were expecting more, I guess, potency out of the offense, but in reality, you know, a win's a win, ugly or not, and the offense did what they needed to do to get it done.
I think the positive here for these LA Charger fans is they came away with the victory. You know, with all the limited resources they had, they got it done, and that's one in the bank for them as they're continuing to grow. Brand new quarterback, new system. They did what they're supposed to do, and Chargers fans, just be happy.
Yeah. Well, and the ending of that game, you know, Cincinnati driving down the field, setting up a short field goal, and then missing. That's a game last year the Chargers lose. So the fact they're able to win a close game like this that comes down to a one-possession, 3-point game and to win, to me, that's turning a page on this Charger team of now the new look going forward.
Right. And you know, and it's kind of, you know, harsh for me to say this being a Cincinnati Bengal player, draftee, but Cincinnati kind of got in a position to do what they always do, and the Chargers lucked out that they were playing Cincinnati.
Yeah.
And, you know, and that's kind of how I can say it. You know, the Chargers did everything they do to put themselves in a victory, and the Bengals did everything they do to lose like they always do. So
have you seen that meme of the two Spider-Mans like pointing at each other?
Yeah,
like they're both just pointing at each other because like the same. Yeah. It's kind of like the Bengals and Chargers just pointing at each other because they're similar organizations over the last few years, unfortunately.
But the Chargers got better. I think the Bengals are a better team also, you know, limited resources, brand new quarterback, young guy. So Chargers fans, be happy with this W.
Absolutely. Yeah. One thing we didn't mention was DJ Reader going out for the Bengals, which was a huge loss for them. It kind of opened the running game up for the Chargers throughout the game. And then the big injury for the Chargers, which I'm curious your thoughts, Drue Tranquill, who was listed on the depth chart farther down, but ended up starting the game, playing, and ended up breaking his ankle. So out for probably the season. But what was your thoughts on his replacements? Nick Vigil came in often. Kaiser White played a lot. And how do you think the Chargers rebound from that tough injury?
Well, I think they rebound well with Vigil being a player that's already played in this league and has reps, has film. I think they hit the wire, maybe get a guy they cut in the preseason just, you know, to get him back because that injury should be season ending.
Yeah.
We'll have to ask Doc about that, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, what kind of steps going in?
Right.
Dr. Nima.
So like you said, Drue Tranquill was listed lower on the depth chart and was actually getting reps. That means at training camp, everyone was getting reps to see who could play, you know, so I think the guys stepped up. They were ready for the moment, and I think they built off that.
That's a good point. Yeah, the reps are kind of spread out all through camp. So super bummed for him. I know he had injury history at Notre Dame, too. That was kind of his knock coming out and why he kind of fell in the draft. So big bummer to see. We talked extensively a few episodes ago with Doctor how you can bounce back and, you know, set yourself up. So I'm sure he'll hit the lab again. But obviously a broken ankle is more of a, you know, an actual football injury that, you know, it's just kind of bad luck, I'm sure. So well, Frost, before we get into the Rams game, we got to go into our 3 key plays for this game. So we came up with 3 of them. Do you want me to start, or do you want to start with one that you liked?
No, go ahead and rip.
Okay.
I'm just going to co-sign.
Okay, sure. We'll see if I did good, because there was a lot of good plays. I know it was a low-scoring game, but still a lot of good plays. So I'm going to start with let's start with the rookie, Joshua Kelly. Talked a lot about how much I love this kid out of UCLA. I thought he was going to really show up and surprise a lot of people that probably were surprised that he was drafted as early as he was with the Chargers. But I knew he was a great player. Comes in this game, he gets 12 carries, 60 yards, and the lone touchdown for the Chargers on a great inside run. So that's got to be a top play when you get the only touchdown for your team. You're a rookie, and you're really effective with 5 yards a clip per carry.
Yeah, absolutely. The way to start off, young brother. Way to take advantage of your opportunity. You know, it was completely open. You knew going into the season they're going to do back by committee, and they drafted him. They gave him opportunity, and he showed up. So good job, Bruin.
Yeah, There, I'm gonna keep that clip just to keep playing that one over and over again.
That's fine. That's fine. It's deserving. He did a great job.
Yeah, played well. So I do want to mention Austin Eckler did finish with 19 carries, so was the technical lead back, but Joshua Kelly with 12 and looked really good. And he was really good, just change of pace. I think they complement each other very well. And Justin Jackson did leave the game with an injury and may miss a few weeks. So it'll be really up to those two guys to really carry the load moving forward. So the next of the three key plays, I got to move over to defense. This was a defensive game. And Denzel Perryman, who has gotten a lot of flack in the recent years, was not listed as a starter, but obviously with the injury to Drew Tranquil, got more playing time. And as he does in many years, forces a fumble hitting Joe Mixon in the backfield. I think it was Joe Mixon's first fumble in like 600-something attempts or something like that, like some crazy amount. The guy just does not fumble, and Perryman hits him in the backfield, recovered by Nick Vigil. So a huge game-changing play for that Chargers defense.
I think he played good, getting the opportunity. It sucks the way it happened to get him on the field, but he was out there, he was active, and making Joe Mixon fumble is already a great feat just because the guy has, I guess, hands of steel and won't, drop the rock. But he got it out of there early in the game. I think it gave the team a little bit of momentum. So hats off to you.
Yeah, brought the juice on that hit. It was a great hit in the backfield and a big game-changing moment. So I'll round out these top plays. Again, we're looking at Chargers plays because you could look at the Randy Bullock missed field goal, which resulted in a win. But just speaking of Chargers, got to go with Melvin Ingram, the dude, the guy who raps on Hard Knocks. Coming up with
it. Yeah. Just awesome.
The man. He's everywhere. Could have obviously come up with Joey Bosa with his sack, but that interception, it was a weird play. I don't know if you remember it specifically, but it was a weird play from Joe Burrow, who looked like he was going to run, and then last minute kind of just shovel past it to, I believe it was trying to go to Joe Mixon, and Melvin Ingram just with one arm just kind of bear hugs the ball, and now you have a turnover, which results, I believe, in points after that. So that was another huge turning point. Basically, turnovers are always going to be important in an NFL game. As a defensive player, that is just huge for your team, and Melvin Ingram, again, comes up with a big one.
Yeah, absolutely, as he always does. One of the best premier outside rushers in the league, and gets his hand on the ball. Going into the game, I knew he's playing versus a rookie quarterback, and you always want to make a play. Either you're gonna sack him, pick him off, sack calls, fumble, do something to scare him, do something, give him his welcome to the NFL moment. And I think that was the play that he actually got it. Trying to make a play, and now guys are so athletic they can make plays like that.
Absolutely. Do you obviously? You're an NFL player, you're a competitor. You want to play the best every game against every quarterback. But is there something about when a rookie quarterback's back there, you kind of lick your chops a little more, maybe pin your ears back even more than usual?
Yeah, absolutely. When you got a rookie guy back there, he's unexperienced, and he may not know the coverages, see a blitz coming, and you may end up being free. And like my a coach always told me, Coach Pratt, don't miss the layup. So you never know what you're going to get on a rookie. They haven't seen much. Not to say anything they've seen in college wasn't a lot, but the NFL, the schemes and the personnel are different, and people line up all over the place. So especially on third down. So, you just know the inconsistency on that part of it's unexperienced, and you get happy playing a rookie.
Absolutely. Well, defense showed out holding Burrow to 173 yards passing, sacking him 3 times, and then obviously forcing a pick and then a fumble on Mixon. So great day for them. And the Chargers leave Cincinnati 1-0. So great start to the season. Well, they head back to Los Angeles now, where they will face the Kansas City Chiefs in their first game at SoFi. So we will get into that next episode for previewing that game. But it's going to be a little bit of different level of competition for the Chargers in this one, Frosty.
Yeah, I believe so.
A little bit.
Turn up a notch, but you'll see what they're made out of,
That's right. So we'll break it down more and see what this defense specifically needs to do to, I'm not even going to say stop, but slow down the Chiefs, and what the offense can improve on from week 1 to maybe put a little more points on the board than a 16. So they're probably going to need more than 16 points to beat a Chiefs team. So we will get into that. Hopefully have a guest on for you as well, Chargers fans, to help us out. But yeah, for us, let's change gears now and go to the Rams game. I thought it was a great Sunday night football game. I know it was late for you out on the East Coast. I don't know how those East Coast guys do it. Last night's Monday night game ended at like 2:30 in the morning, the second Monday night game. So living out here in LA, we have it easy with the time scheduling.
Watching the East Coast game is, you got to be really committed, because the games do end up at 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning, or you may end up running into a overtime. What are you going to do then? But, for me, I have opportunities to cover the Rams. So it was good to, first game of the season, I had all my juice going. So I was watching the game. I was all tuned in, and it was a great game.
Yeah. Yeah. You have it harder since you go back and forth from LA to out east because you got to adapt to both times. At least if the people that like live out there full time, it's like they're just used to it. It's like natural now, but you're like watching one game 1 week here that ends at 8:30 and then out there 12:30. So yeah, that could be tough.
Hey, LA football fans, I'm committed. I'm committed to giving you guys that real deal.
Committed. That's right. I love it. I remember I was out in New York I traveled out there back in college for like a Broncos Jets game. And it was a 1:00 kickoff for East Coast time. So we went to the game and then afterwards went to a bar to watch the night game. And yeah, we were with New Yorkers that we met watching the game. I can't even remember who played that game. Ended at like 12:30 and they're like drinking all through games. Like, all right, well, I got work at 6 a.m. I'm used to LA. Like we're done at 8:30. I'm like, cool. I'm like, I'll have my
You
beer
got the rest of
today.
the night. You got the rest of the night ahead of you now.
That's right.
It's
Crazy.
even worse for players when you got to fly back.
Yeah.
So imagine that.
Well, that's another thing.
So late, got to fly all the way back. Everyone's sleeping. It's the worst.
Well, that's something we'll get to probably in the preview episode because the Rams play the Eagles in Philadelphia next week, and then they play the Bills in Buffalo the following week. And they were planning on just staying out there, but now with the new COVID protocols, they have to fly back both times. So they'll get those flyer miles. We'll get to that later. So anyway, the game specifically, I asked you when we talked the Chargers game, but what were your overall first thoughts of this one as they played the Dallas Cowboys in the first game ever at SoFi?
Well, I'm going to again say I was going into this whole perception of week one that it's going to be some sloppy football, and I wasn't going to get too frustrated with, being a couch coach, as I like to call it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should have did this, should have did that, with the lack of reps. Again, I was very pleased with both of our teams, and, now we're talking about the Rams, and I was very pleased with the Rams. I think for the most part, offense could have did a little bit better. Defense stepped up when they needed to, made some huge plays in a brand new stadium environment, no fans. I think they did what they were supposed to do. And, they got leaders on the defense that step up at times and they make their plays. I thought the D-line played great. I thought the secondary played great. Jalen Ramsey did his thing, completely shut down Amari Cooper. The Rams, I like them. I like them in the NFC West. It's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, I think they definitely surprised a lot of people because we've talked pretty highly about them, and I've been confident. I think they're an 11-5 team, maybe with a 9-7 floor if they really lose some close games. But I think they're a solid team. But a lot of people around the league, or not really around the league, but around the country, fans and media, have pegged this as a 6-10, 7-9, like bottom of the NFC West team. And granted, they do play in a very good division, but I thought they're showing against the Cowboys, who they were underdogs going into this game, show that this is a team ready to make the next step, get back to their Super Bowl ways. And so for me, that's what my biggest takeaway was. The offense specifically. The defense played great. We'll get to that more, and you'll be able to speak on them better than I will. But the offense looked a lot more reminiscent to the 2018 offense as opposed to last year offense. And I mean that in they were doing a lot more play action. They stayed committed to the run, had 40 total rushing carries, which last year we saw them do like 17 a game, which was way under what they should be doing because it doesn't allow you to open the game up with the play action. We saw a lot more bubble screens. Robert Woods very involved in the screen game. So I just really liked what I saw from the offense. Quick passes for Jared Goff. That's what you got to do when you have an offensive line that is somewhat suspect like they have. So, yes, I agree with you. They left plays out there. They could have definitely capitalized on some more. They had some deficiencies in the red zone that we saw. But overall, I liked what they were getting back to. And then now, same with what we talked about with the Chargers, they're just have that to build upon, and they'll be better moving forward. So just offensively speaking, I was pleased with what I at least saw moving forward into week 2.
Yeah, they definitely moved the chains and did great things. Robert Woods obviously gets the game ball from me. He did end around running the ball. He did screen plays. Didn't get up the field as much as I would like to, but who am I? I'm just a guy talking about football. But he made the plays that came his way, and clearly for me, he was the number one receiver that day. I think the inability to score points in the air, they have to build on. I do think Goff not being able to stretch the ball down the field, there was no plays over 40 yards, no long bombs that we're used to, big explosive plays, getting the ball all the way down to the one, things like that. There was none of that. So the excitement of the Rams offense wasn't really there, but they made the plays, they moved the ball down the field, they moved the chains when they needed to, and, they were efficient.
Yeah.
But they were efficient, so I'll give them that.
Yeah, no, that's a great point because all their biggest plays came off screen plays. So, Goff, 0 touchdowns through the air, did have the 1 pick, which shouldn't have been a pick, should have been a penalty as he got mauled in the face. But regardless, shows up on the stat sheet. But yeah, hopefully my hope is that they'll take this game and obviously they're going to watch a lot of tape from it and they'll see some opportunities that what they were doing with the run game, running 40 times 40 times over the game, what they were doing with the screen game, and then hopefully seeing that Goff did miss some of those opportunities to push the ball down the field, which hopefully that will come again in week 2, week 3, week 4, moving forward. I think of one play specifically towards the end of the game, which would have iced the game. I don't know if it was a designed run for Goff, but it's a naked bootleg, runs out, and he basically had decided since he ran out, he was going to run it. But they showed the replay, and Cooper Kupp is wide open 45 yards down the field. Would have been a game-sealing touchdown. Instead, Goff's runs for 7 yards or whatever and gets out of bounds. So plays like that I think as they get crisper, as they practice more, I think we'll see that kind of capitalize into those big, dynamic Rams plays that we were used to seeing in their Super Bowl runs. So, but overall, I just like the getting back to the basics of what this Sean McVay scheme is.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a balanced offense, and their ability to do the play pass. So, run the ball. At least now, defenses going into these next weeks are going to try to stack the box, thinking heavy run, and that may open it up. And maybe a little bit of that Sean McVay magic. We don't know what's happening.
That's right. So let's get to the defense, who really played, other than 2 drives, played very, very well throughout the entire game, only giving up 3 points in the second half when they were needed most. So Frost, before we get into kind of statistically what they did, what was just your thoughts on how the defense played?
I think the defense played great. I think the people making the big bucks stepped up when they needed to. They made their plays. The guys got the sacks. I think Jalen Ramsey showed us why he's the highest paid corner of the league. I think teams are going to, test him a little bit more just to really go after that check. But I think he'll show up week in, week out. Overall, I think the defense will play good, starting with the defensive line. Having Brockers back is always a huge plus. I'm so glad that trade didn't work out. Aaron Donald was Aaron Donald. He did what he did. He's only going to get better and be more dominant. Very excited for that. I think they played well.
Yeah, Aaron Donald, man, just throwing people around like a rag doll. It's insane.
That's what he does, man.
Yeah, it's insane the strength that guy has.
It's the leverage, the arm, the lockout, the hands, how violent they are. Every move he gives you, he means it with purpose, and he shows it. He puts the work in, and that's the product you're going to get.
Absolutely, yeah. Finished with a sack, as did Brockers, as did their newly acquired free agent in Leonard Floyd, if they got over from Chicago, who had a good sack there in the fourth quarter.
Oh, it was timely. It was a timely sack too, and they needed it. And that's the confidence that they're going to need week in, week out. The Rams want to get back to the Super Bowl, and obviously they want to be a force in the NFC West, but it's going to take that D line to take them there, and they got to play dominant, and they can't bend.
Yeah, exactly. And the D line played well. I thought they did good against the run when the Cowboys are one of the top rushing teams in the league. Obviously you have Ezekiel Elliott. They kept him under 196 yards, so he was close. But hey, kept him under 100.
He didn't get the 100.
He didn't get the 100. That's right.
Guy.
That's right.
He didn't get the 100.
And then the other thing that stood out to me with the secondary, you mentioned Jalen Ramsey, who primarily covered Cooper, keeping him under 100 yards as well. He did have 10 receptions, but kept him out of the end zone, kept him under 100. Troy Hill played fairly well as well. But the biggest thing for me was seeing 6th-round pick rookie Jordan Fuller getting the bulk of the reps over Taylor Rapp. Sean McVay was asked after the game if it was due to poor play in Taylor Rapp, due to him still kind of nursing an injury. And McVay basically said, look, Taylor Rapp is a huge part of this defense. He's a great player. We're happy to have him here for a long time, but this is due to Jordan Fuller and how well he played in camp, and he earned those reps and earned the chance to start alongside John Johnson. So I thought that was huge. Terrell Burgess is kind of the guy that everyone's kind of circled as the 3rd-round pick out of Utah, and it was Jordan Fuller who ended up getting all the reps and had a huge play later in the game, which we'll get to when we get to our 3 key plays. But that was huge for me, just seeing this young Jordan Fuller and the young core in general for this Rams team. They're going to be taken care of moving forward.
Yeah, young and active, and he went out there and made his plays. And like Coach said, he earned the right to be on that field and be surrounded in the huddle with an Aaron Donald and Michael Brockers. So hats off to the young fella. He did his thing. He was prepared. And, he probably didn't count the reps. He made the reps count in training camp, and proof's in the pudding. Cream always rises to the top.
That was a lot of analogies there. I liked it. Sounded good. So, all right, Frost, go ahead and break down the stats for us on how this defense performed against the Cowboys.
So the defense ended Sunday night and number 10 in total yards, giving up 380 in the opener. Would love to see that less, but again, they're number 10 in the league, so that's good. Hopefully they hold on to that.
Yeah, against a very good offense too. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
Dallas.
No, it's a solid offense. So the Rams came in at number 18 in the whole entire league, giving up 244 yards in the air in passing defense. Again, they didn't give up a 100-yard receiver. It was, a great offense. Dak Prescott trying to prove a lot this season that he's one of the elite ones in the league. And I think they fared share in that one. They ended up number 17 in the league in rushing defense, giving up 123 yards and 96 to Zeke, like you said earlier, which is a huge feat and huge confidence builder for a defense. Zeke Elliott being one of the best running backs in the game and not giving him that 100, obviously all Dallas Cowboys fans have been circling that week 1 game forever as soon as the schedule came out. And Zeke always delivers, but 96 yards isn't 100. And hats off to the Rams rushing defense and coach Eric Henderson for getting his guys going and not letting the best player beat you.
That's right. What does he always say? Dog work, right?
Yeah, it's dog work. And third down, obviously one of the biggest stats on defense. They ended with number 5, giving up 3 out of 12. So again, they did their thing, giving the offense the ball back so they can chew up the clock and get this victory. The Rams went in there and did what they're supposed to do. Individual groups came together and got this done.
All right, yeah, that's a great stat. You brought up the 3 of 12 third down conversions for the Cowboys. Did you you gave it to me quick with the Chargers? Did you look up the percentage on that too?
Well, I think the Rams stopped them 75% of the time. So how's that math for you?
That's great. A little easier number, 3 and 12, but I still couldn't do it. So whether you did it or looked it up, I'll give you the.
I definitely looked it up.
Perfect. So yeah, 75%. That's it. What we just talked about. You said if you can get to that 75, 80% as a defense, you're looking good and going to win most of your battles. And that's what they did. So I'm giving more opportunity to the offense. So overall, love what the defense did against a very, very good Cowboys offense, who I believe ranked like top 5 in almost every category last season. Obviously had a few injuries on the offensive line coming into this game, did the Cowboys, but so did the Rams. So next man up, and they took full advantage, and that front 7 played real well. One thing before we get into our key plays, Micah Kaiser did have 7 missed tackles. So that's one little key stat that will need to be cleaned up, especially from a guy who's taking over for Corey Littleton, who was one of the best tacklers in the league last year for the Rams. So that'll be a big thing that I'm sure, Coach Barry and Coach Staley and obviously Coach McVay will have circled for him to improve upon. But overall, just a great, great defensive performance. Let's now get into these 3 key plays to victory for the Rams. Did you want me to lead it off again, or do you want to take one of these?
No, go ahead, man. I'm the co-star.
Oh, you're not the co-star, but I'll take that. All right, let's try to go in order here, I guess. So I'm going to start on offense again, and got to go with Bobby Trees. Robert Woods, who had a phenomenal game, like you said. I think 6 receptions, over 100 yards receiving. But he's on that first drive had 3 big plays, and specifically had a 35-yard screen pass on a 2nd and 6 that brought the Rams down to, I believe, the 13-yard line, which set up the first go-ahead touchdown, the first touchdown ever at SoFi, scored by Malcolm Brown. So Robert Woods, phenomenal game, but that play specifically, just because it was probably the most explosive play of the game,
Right.
And it came early, and then he just kind of set the standard for what the offense did for the rest of the night.
Yeah, and I knew he was going to be prepared, didn't know what his role was going to be. Obviously, everyone loves Cooper. He's a fan favorite, but you can never count out Trees, right? He's an SC guy. He's at home in a brand new stadium under the lights. He played lights out every opportunity he got. I think he caught every target that came his way, just about, if not. Again, I would give him the game ball outside of Malcolm Brown, getting those 2 scores, taking over for Todd Gurley. They did a running back by committee, but, he's the one who made those big plays. So from Trees to Malcolm Brown, they held the offense together. The offensive line didn't play too bad, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think Goff didn't get the ball down the field as much as that I would like to see. I wanted to see how he improved, but they held up. He didn't get hurt. And, they lived to, fight another day, another week.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I thought the offensive line played fairly well, and part of that was part of the game plan of getting the ball out of Goff's hands quick, which is why we didn't see some of the big plays. Obviously, those take a little longer to develop. But with a defensive line like the Cowboys had, obviously DeMarcus Lawrence, they brought in Aldon Smith, who had a big game, who hadn't played in 5 years, but obviously we know what he did in the past. They have a really good, solid defensive line. So the offensive line held their own. And you mentioned Malcolm Brown, who had a career high in rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. That'll be a fun trivia question 10 years from now. Who scored the first ever touchdown at SoFi? So you got to remember Malcolm Brown.
Yeah.
So,
and hopefully with the opportunity he's getting, he'll become a household name.
Yeah, I thought he played great. I mean, the rushing game in general played. I thought Cam Akers got a lot of touches. Didn't, he only turned into like 39 yards, but it's his first game ever as a running back in the league. So I think he'll be fine. I thought the running game was good. But yeah, we mentioned Robert Woods, who I think is one of the most underrated receivers in the entire NFL. Never gets the respect he deserves, but just goes out, does his thing, keeps his mouth shut. Doesn't turn the ball over, and he comes up big every time they need him. So big play there. That's one of my big key plays to victory. But let's jump over to defense now. Probably one of the biggest plays in my opinion. Jalen Ramsey was on a 3rd and 5 for the Dallas Cowboys in the 4th quarter. Amari Cooper looked to be wide open right past the first down sticks, and Ramsey comes barreling down the field tackles him. It was called a fumble on the field, and then they reviewed it and ended up calling it incomplete, but it forced a punt. So huge play there. They showed it the highlight, and he was actually it was like a zone coverage, and he spun off his guy because he read the play perfectly and just basically connected with Amari Cooper right as he got the ball. So huge play.
You can't really fool that guy. He's seen a lot of different looks, and everyone tries to play a chess match to beat him. And he came back and made a heck of a play on the ball. It wasn't a fumble, even though, yes, you Rams fans, I know you guys wanted one. I wanted one. I'm a defensive guy. Yeah. But it wasn't a fumble. They called it correctly. Again, clap for the officials here. They made it. They made a good one. But Jalen was right on time. A huge down, and that I'm sure sparked the team and gave them a lot of momentum.
Oh yeah, huge. Yeah, those are the definitely momentum shifters. And speaking of momentum shift, probably the biggest play of the game came on a 4th. And I want to say it was like 4th and 2, 4th and 1. Down in the red zone, Mike McCarthy opted, instead of kicking the field goal, to tie the game, which I'm sure Cowboys fans now are highly regretful. This decides to go for it and does a quick crossing pattern to CeeDee Lamb, and the rookie Jordan Fuller comes barreling down, able to escape through a muddy middle of the field where a tight end is, facing with a linebacker. He's able to get past that and stop CeeDee Lamb short of the line of the game to cause a turnover on down. So probably got to be the biggest play because it holds Dallas to 0 points.
Yeah, great play. Again, it came downhill, great instincts on the ball, broke on the ball, made a huge play on the 4th down, gave the defense tons of energy, and that essentially is what I think put the icing on the cake.
Yep, and the fact that he's a rookie, not playing like a rookie. And the thing with these draft picks, and I'm sure you as a player get sick of hearing it, but so many people, sometimes myself included, you kind of you couple them with where they were drafted. So you always say the 6th round pick. Oh wow, how is he playing so well as a 6th round pick? Well, Jordan Fuller plays his college career at the Ohio State University, playing against Michigan, against Michigan State, against these big boy programs. So he's used to making big plays his whole career, and it was no different on the big stage on Sunday night, making probably the biggest play of the game. And hats off to him. I think that was an awesome statement. And Rams fans should be very excited moving forward with this young Jordan Fuller.
Absolutely. It came in as a question mark, and now he should be a household name, at least for this week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that was the other thing. A lot of people were kind of confused why the Rams drafted 2 safeties when they had John Johnson and Taylor Rapp, and we're already seeing them getting playing time. And obviously with contracts, this is a whole different story, but who knows if John Johnson will be around next season. But hey, for now, they're all there. They're all playing great, and this defense looks good. So the Rams leave SoFi victors for the first one, which is huge for the city, huge for Los Angeles, huge for this team, and huge moving forward. Last thing I want to mention about the game, Frost, because I want to get your opinion on it. The offensive pass interference. I know you're a defensive guy, so I'm sure I know how you're going to go with this, but was it OPI? Was it the right call in that situation? What do you think of that play with Jalen Ramsey and Michael Gallup down basically the last drive of the game?
Okay. Ryan, pay attention to this.
Okay.
9 out of 10 times I'm going to side with defense. You got to do something really extraordinary for me to side with offense, but no. I think it was pass interference. Let's be real. You can't push off like that. It would have changed the whole landscape of the game if they called it wrong. but they called it right, and I'm with the Rams on this one.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I'm an offensive guy, so I think that's why it's fun because we can kind of go back and forth. Since I go a little more, I'll probably 9 out of 10 side with the offense, but it may have been a little bit of an acting job by Jalen Ramsey, but the fact of the matter is Gallup did extend. When you're running full speed down the field, it takes just a finger touch to push someone off balance, off their pendulum. So that's what a lot of people are saying. Like, well, you didn't even push that much force into him. Like, well, okay, you try running full speed, get up and go, and someone literally just touches you, you're gonna get thrown off your rocker there. So
Exactly.
obviously they went in the favor of the Rams, but I thought overall it was a good call.
Yeah, great call.
Cool. Mic drop. We'll leave it at that. So Rams leave victorious, if I can speak, and we will travel next week to Philadelphia to face the Eagles, who had a 17-0 lead against the Washington football team, gave up 27 unanswered points. Carson Wentz was sacked 8 times. We'll get into the preview next episode, but I think this is a game that one of those, I don't know if you like calling games trap games as a former player, but one of those games that I think because of how Philly played, this looks like not an easy, but a much more obtainable victory for the Rams. But the Eagles team's going to be real hungry to bounce back. Wentz has played really good after bad games. So the Rams are still going to have their work cut out for them traveling back east to face the Eagles.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're going to be facing a pissed off Deshaun Jackson that didn't get the ball nearly as much as he should. So I think things will be exciting for this game coming up.
Absolutely. So we'll get into that later in the week. Hopefully I have a guest as well to help us break that down. Looking forward to it. But that'll do it for the recap show. Great weekend for our LA teams. 2-0. Each team is 1-0 as they both win. Chargers beat the Bengals 16-13. Rams beat the Cowboys. First game ever at SoFi, 20-17. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Frostee, where can everyone find you at?
You can find me on Instagram at @TheOrganicFrost, and you can email me at frosteepodcast@yahoo.com.
There you go. I am Ryan Dyrud, LAFB. Email me at podcast@lafbnetwork.com. We'd love to get your questions so we can answer them on the preview show. So if you have questions about what to expect from the Eagles or the Chiefs, Frosty and I will get to those. So make sure to either email us or just hit us up on the social medias. Subscribe to the show wherever you listen. We are everywhere you listen to podcasts. Big shout out again to Golden Road Brewery, who will be with us on this ride throughout the entire NFL season. So make sure to, check out that brewery. Last thing I remember I'm about to sign off and I just remember this. Did you see today for our USC faithful, because we, fight on, and UCLA,
Me too.
both the same, Pac-12, but they came out with, the USC team came with a memo tweeted out by Amon-Ra St. Brown, a letter to the governor to try to get them to play this fall. Did you see that?
Yeah. I mean, they're doing what they need to do. If your leaders got to speak up, if everyone wants to play, you want to risk it, go for it. I think the governor did what he was supposed to do and shutting it down when he did, just because he's going off guidelines, and he would have been called reckless if he didn't. But if people are raging against the machine, as they like to say, and they want, to overturn something, people got to speak up. So I'm here to see what happens and what comes out after that. What's his statement?
Yeah, absolutely. So you're full of great metaphors and analogies today. I love it. But if you want to check out Amon-Ra St. Brown, star receiver for the Trojans, tweeted it out. I'm sure other guys did as well. That's just the one I saw. But basically, kind of a memorandum saying that they're watching these other leagues play and they really want to get out there and play. Like, why are they the ones being punished, I guess, if you will. And he also made the point that earlier there was the miscommunication, if you want to call it, where it seemed like a lot of these players did not want to play, but he said in reality, we just wanted safety and we wanted these protocols that gave us the best opportunity, but we do want to play and carry out our season so that we can better our future. So just wanted to mention that before we sign off for our USC fans, because I think that's a big deal. Who knows? Last I heard, they're actually pushing for a possible mid to late November start if things can all come to fruition. I agree. Let them play. All righty, Frosty. Thanks so much. As always, appreciate you. I hope you have a great rest of your birthday week. But we'll do this again end of the week for our preview show, yeah?
Thank you. Good night, LA.
All right, guys. Take care. We'll talk to you in a couple days.